Hello creative friends, this is Joy. I wanted to create my own travel journal and I found this Webster dictionary at the flea market that I thought would be perfect, that has this leather cover that could be used to create a travel journal. I figured out the size that I would need for my inserts to go into this journal, and then I cut my pages down from notebook paper, grid paper, mixed media paper, drawing paper, and craft paper. So that's going to be my 5 inserts that I am going to use or I'm going to create to put into this travel journal that I am making. And as you can see, they all seem to fit in there perfectly. So first of all, I decided to measure out and cut the holes where the binding would go. So I have this white pencil that I thought would work to where I could see on this black insert cover the marks that I was making to mark out the holes that I want to put in the binding. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm measuring the binding and then I'm dividing that by 3 and I'm marking it so I know exactly where I want to punch my holes in this binding. And I'm going to use some elastic string in the binding so that I can insert and take out these little books that I'm going to be making to go in this journal. So I also decide to do a line across the 3 hash marks or tick marks, whatever you want to call them, so that I can get an idea of exactly where I want the holes to be in the binding. And I want that way they'll all be even and I won't have the holes staggered. And I'm just darkening that line just a little bit there because it wasn't dark enough for me to be able to see it. And then I take my crocodile and I punch my 3 holes in this cover on both sides. And the crocodile works pretty good because it's got like a smaller hole punch instead of a regular size. So I really like the size of the holes. And then I had these little eyelets that I also use a crocodile to set inside the holes. And you could see in the middle there, I just took an awl and poked a hole in the middle and then strung a piece of that elastic string in the middle of the book so that I can use that to close the book with. I just measured it around the book to see how much I needed, and then I tied the ends together. So I decided to take heavy cardstock to make my covers with, and that's what I have here. And I decided to take contact paper and cut out these little squares because I want to be able to put these on the covers and then decorate the covers and then be able to peel this off so that I have a little window or an area where I can write on the front of each book what the book is for. And so I take the contact paper, the back part of it off, and I stick it on the front of the cover that I'm going to make. And actually that first one is going to be little pockets that I want to put in the journal, and then the rest of them are going to be the covers. So once I put that on these covers, I lay them out, and then I decided to use my Inktense to color these because I didn't want to use anything that's water soluble because if it gets wet then it'll reactivate, and these are supposed to be permanent once they dry. So I got a brush, and I probably should have sprayed this with some water to start with so that the ink would have spread more smoothly or evenly, but I didn't, so whatever. So I got a little water and a brush, and I just kind of slapped it on there, as you can see. And I decided that, I just didn't want it to just be like this plain color, that I felt like it would be interesting to have some splatters or something else on it. So you'll see here in a minute that I take a contrasting color to this blue, which I believe I used hot pink or something. And I did some splattering on these covers. I could have done a lot more, to these covers to make them I guess more creative or whatever, but I didn't want to spend a lot of time on this. I just wanted to do some kind of quick, decorations for these covers. I may go back later on and do a little more. I don't know. We'll see. But right now, I just wanted to get these made and the book put together as quickly as possible. So here's another one where I'm just using this green and I'm doing the same thing, just smearing that all over the cover of the book. And I have that little sticker on there of the contact paper because I want to, like I said, be able to peel that off and have the white cardstock underneath where I can add a label or a tag, to each of these books. And I decided to use mixed media paper because it's a pretty heavy paper, and that would make the cover pretty sturdy. So I really had a good time painting these covers and making these little books and putting this whole thing together. I was really happy with the way it all turned out in the end. I've kind of been away from doing anything creative for quite a while. I kind of got burned out a bit, and everything that was going on was really overwhelming in my life, and I just needed to take a break. I was feeling burned out. I didn't expect to or plan to take quite such a long break, but it ended up that me and my husband started doing a lot of remodeling in our house, and every weekend we were either moving furniture around or putting furniture back in place or tearing something up and putting it back together. And so yeah, it kind of went on longer than I had planned or expected, but I've got new floors in my house. I've painted my kitchen cabinets and put in new countertops, which is really nice. We also ended up putting new windows in our house, and so my craft room was like just completely a mess and everything shoved to one side for a while because they needed to get in here. We have two windows in here that they needed to replace, and we had to make sure everything was away from the windows. So yeah, that was fun. And we also got our attic insulated. And after all of that, where we thought, okay, good, we've done everything we want to do, and we can enjoy. Our air conditioning and furnace went out last weekend, so we had to call them to come take a look and see what was going on with that, and come to find out it actually needed to be replaced. So they come earlier this week and replaced all of that, which was an added expense we weren't counting on or planning on, but these things happen, and at least now we have a good furnace and air conditioning unit that we know that will last us for many years to come. So it's not such a bad thing, I suppose. But yeah, I've been very busy. My granddaughter, been busy with my granddaughter who's living with me now. She's been doing dance and, running me ragged, wanting to go here, wanting to go there, and shopping, and, you name it. If you have any teenagers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I've been trying to get her in the craft room here with me to do some creative stuff, but she sometimes will come in and play around with some things, but sometimes I guess she's just not really in the mood, and I'm not either, I guess. I haven't been lately. Last weekend we got back in here after all of the renovating and everything, and we both kind of did a quick journal page just to do something creative since we hadn't done anything for so long. And I have these sticks. They're tongue depressors that I painted and put different things, on each one, different products that I have, different shapes, different techniques. And we did pulled the stick and then did an art journal page based on that. So we had fun. So here I'm just deciding on what order do I want to put these books in, and by color. I'm pulling off the contact paper that I put on the front there, and then I have this long arm stapler that I'm using to staple all of these books together. So again, that first one was just regular lined paper, and then the next one is grid paper. This next one here is heavy mixed media paper. It's a heavier paper, so of course that doesn't have as many sheets because it's a lot thicker paper. And then drawing paper, and then I staple that together. And then the last one, of course, is the craft paper. So peel off that sticker I put on there and staple that, and then I have the final book for my travel journal. So here's all the books that I created, and then here's the one that I'm making pockets. So I pull that sticker off that I put on there, and I decide to find some, washi tape, decorative washi tape that seemed to match, and I use that in order to tape these pockets on here that I created. So first of all, I started taping the pocket itself, or putting the tape on the pocket itself, as you see me doing here. But then you'll see here in a minute, when I put it on the cover, I realized, well, it's only going to be in this one corner, on each side, and I didn't like that. It's like, I would rather have it go all the way around, so it looks like, it was put on here on purpose and not just kind of willy-nilly stuck on there. So I decided to go ahead and put this all the way around this journal, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm just covering the rest of the edges of this journal with this washi tape, and then this little piece here that I missed, or that was short on that one side, and then across the top. So that way this will have, a nice like little border all the way around it, and that way it'll like somewhat make sense, I guess. So I put the other pocket on the other side, and then I fold that up, but I wanted to, or I had to trim or cut it at the top and on the bottom where the washi tape is overlapping, because I, of course, want to be able to open these pockets and put things in there without any interference. So I just snip it a little bit on those areas, and then trim off the corners. So there's my little folder that I have with my pockets. So then here I'm stringing this up, and I could have done this like one long string, but I decided to do 3 separate strings and then tie it. So I strung this in the journal and I tied it as tightly as I could, and that's what I'm doing here. And I have that piece on there where I'm going to use that to close the whole thing, and I stuck the one in the middle inside or in between that one as I put it through the holes and tied it, so that way it's kind of holds it in there and it won't pull out. I mean, I could still pull it out, but hopefully that string will catch it and it won't pull out completely. And then I tie the third one on here. I really like this little leather cover I found because it's kind of got side pockets. I don't know if you noticed there that I could also use to put more stuff in. And I'm thinking about trying to create some little laminate type pockets that I can put on the front and the back for like business cards or what have you. So here I'm slipping the little journals in this cover that these journals that I created, slipping them in the cover in the binding here. So I decided to do the first one, the middle one, and the last one. And then for the second and third one, I took some of that elastic string again. I figured out how much I would need to go around that middle journal. I tied that in a knot, and then I put those other two, the second and the third, or the second and the fourth, I guess it would be, put those in the middle, and then slipped the third one, both of those over the third one. Hopefully that makes sense. That might have been kind of confusing now I think about it. But anyway, so you'll see here in a minute. And then I decided to put the pocket one around the first one, the first little journal. So you got the pocket, the first journal, the second, third, fourth, and last. So it's like the second and the fourth one is kind of wrapped around the middle one. So I also saw this on YouTube somewhere, to make a little pen holder. So you just take a clip, you glue this piece of elastic on here, but it wasn't staying, and so I ended up taking a bigger clip and clipping it onto the little clip in the elastic and then set it aside to dry. And so I'm trying to figure out how to get that on there to stay. So there we go. I got it clipped on there, and I set it aside to dry so that I'd have a little clip that I could clip on there to put my pen in. So here I've got these little windows now, so I just take my pen and kind of do some scratchy lines around it. And on the front, I put "This book belongs to," so I could put my name on there. The first book, I decided, since it's got notebook paper, I'm just going to put "Notes." And the second one, because I've got the grid paper, I decided that I would put on there "Plan," because I could use that to plan. I guess I was thinking about what to put on there, and somehow I put an R. I'm like, what? That's not plan. That's not Punitive. So I got out my little whiteout, which was giving me a hard time, so it was messed up. So anyway, I got it to work. Third one, since this is mixed media paper, I put "Create." The fourth one, since this is the drawing paper, I put "Draw." And the last one with the craft paper, I just put "Play." Because I figured, I don't know what to do with it, but hey, I'll just play with it, and see, what I want to do with that. So that's the little travel journal that I created. And I got my little pin in there now, and I've got the little closure on here that I'm putting around. So thank you guys for watching. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.